The year is 2012. Barack Obama has just been re-elected. The Olympics have traveled to London, and the world is coming to an end. That's how many people saw it. The date, December 21st, 2012, tied to the Mayan long count calendar, was treated by some as a deadline for apocalypse or massive transformation. It became a global fixation. Media stories, internet forums, countdown clocks, even movies. But when 2012 passed, nothing cataclysmic happened. Still, that didn't end the trend. Human beings have repeatedly picked dates and built entire belief systems or fears around them. Today, we'll be analyzing several high-profile doomsday predictions, how they form, how they spread, and what happens when the date comes to pass. Why do we do this again and again? Welcome to humanity's fixation on the doomsday clock. The 2012 Mayan calendar prediction. The 2012 phenomenon centers around December 21st, 2012, which marked the end of the 13th Bacton in the Mayan long count calendar, a cycle of roughly 5,126 years. Many interpreted this end as a sign of either destruction or spiritual transformation. Some sources claimed astronomical alignments would coincide with the date, alignments involving the galactic center, solar events, or others. Some used numerology or New Age ideology to suggest a shift in consciousness or New Age of peace. Scholars and archaeologists pushed back. There's no ancient Mayan text clearly predicting disaster. No known prophecy that the world would come to an end. To the Maya, the end of the 13th Bacton was more like a rollover, completing a cycle and beginning a new one. It was significant, but not apocalyptic. Pop culture amplified the predictions, notably the film 2012. Released in 2009 and directed by Roland Emmerich, it portrayed a variety of global catastrophes triggered by tectonic and solar forces, all tied to the date 2012. That movie shaped a lot of public perception about what 2012 meant. After 2012 passed without disaster, many reinterpretations appeared. Some people said the end was spiritual or symbolic. Others just moved on. The event left behind media, myths, and examples of how a deadline can dominate public consciousness, even when nothing happens. Y2K. As the year 2000 approached, many older software systems stored dates with only 2 digits, 99 for 1999. And they were not designed to distinguish between 1900 and 2000. Experts warned this could lead to major failures in everything from banking to utilities. The year 2000 problem became a widespread concern. Governments, corporations, and businesses around the world invested billions to audit, update, or replace systems. Media coverage included constant reminders of how many days were left, what systems might fail, and what people should do to prepare. The concept of midnight on January 1st, 2000 became a focal point of global tension. Some people stockpiled supplies, worrying about power or water failures, or about loss of communication. Others dismissed it as overblown. The internet allowed worst-case scenarios to spread. Though, when midnight came in various time zones, there were no major catastrophes. only minor, isolated glitches. The infrastructure held, and the world did not end. Y2K is now remembered as demonstrating that even when a predicted failure is real, the consequences may not be what people expect. It also showed how media and collective anxiety build up around such technical deadlines. October 28th, 2011.com. October 28th, 2011.com was a simple website that appeared around 2008 to 2009. It displayed a countdown set for October 28th, 2011, along with a phone number and some cryptic text. Whoever called that number reported strange sounds, breathing, and a loud beep. The site gave no clear explanation of who was behind it or what the countdown was for. Online communities like Reddit and forum threads speculated. Some believed it was a cult trying to announce some apocalypse. Others thought it was an artistic statement, an internet hoax, or even a marketing stunt. Discussions also record people trying to trace ownership, motives, or whether there was any event tied to the date, but no confirmation was ever given. When October 28th, 2011 arrived, no obvious event occurred. The site either went silent, changed, or disappeared, but the mystery lived on via archived pages, discussions, snapshots, and what people experienced calling the phone number. October 28th, 2011.com is important because it shows how limited information can trigger widespread speculation. It also shows how uncertainty is a feature, not a bug. It's the unknown that hooks people. To this day, no definitive source has confirmed a motive, whether religious, artistic, cultic, or commercial. It remains an internet myth with real effects on those who follow it. Heaven's Gate and the Hale-Bopp Comet. Heaven's Gate was a religious group founded in 1974 by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. They believed that Earth was going to be recycled, and that their true source of salvation was an extraterrestrial spacecraft. They viewed human life as temporary containers, and spiritual elevation meant leaving behind those physical bodies. In early 1997, the group's leaders claimed that the arrival of the comet Hale-Bopp signaled a spacecraft trailing the comet, one that had been hiding from public view. The comet served as the time marker. Members prepared in advance, sold off possessions, isolated themselves, and practiced collective ritual. On March 26, 1997, 39 members committed suicide in Rancho Santa Fe, believing they would be picked up by the spacecraft. Their belief was literal, that this event was scheduled and unavoidable. They had deadlines, a precise group narrative, and coordination. This case shows what happens when belief in a date becomes stronger than disbelief. When group dynamics, isolation, and literal interpretation combine. It's an example of how a doomsday prediction can lead to tragic outcomes. Even today, the website Heaven's Gate remains online, maintained by one of the group members who volunteered to stay behind, and to make sure the message was never forgotten. Heaven's Gate remains one of the clearest examples that, for some people, a countdown is not a metaphor. It's a contract with their sense of reality. The Large Hadron Collider fears. When the Large Hadron Collider at CERN prepared to begin operations in 2008, it became the center of a sudden wave of doomsday predictions. The LHC is the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator, built to smash protons together at near light speeds to study fundamental physics, including the Higgs boson. Before the first test, a series of lawsuits and petitions appeared, claiming that the collider might create microscopic black holes or strange matter capable of consuming the planet. One high-profile case, filed in a U.S. federal court in Hawaii, sought to halt the experiment entirely. Physicists repeatedly explained that the energies involved, while immense for a laboratory, were far below natural cosmic ray collisions that strike Earth every day. If those natural events hadn't destroyed the planet, the LHC certainly wouldn't. CERN released safety reports and independent reviews to reinforce that point. Despite the evidence, online forums, chain emails, and sensational headlines fueled public anxiety. Some people genuinely feared that the startup date, September 10, 2008, could be the Earth's last. News outlets covered the countdown, some emphasizing the controversy more than the science. Though when the collider finally powered on, the world continued without incident. Subsequent discoveries, including confirmation of the Higgs boson in 2012, underscored the scientific value of the project. The LHC episode shows how a complex scientific event, paired with a precise start date, can trigger global end-of-the-world speculation, even when the underlying science clearly rules it out. Across all of these cases, the pattern is the same. A date is chosen, the story spreads, and a global audience begins to watch the clock. The triggers differ: ancient calendars, software limitations, a charismatic cult leader, or a complex experiment. But the response is strikingly similar. Each deadline gathers a community, drives headlines, and creates a sense of urgency that outlives the event itself. When the predicted moment passes, people rarely abandon the belief outright. Some reinterpret the outcome, calling it a spiritual shift, a warning, or just the beginning. Others simply move on until the next date appears and the cycle starts again. These examples show the real power of a doomsday countdown. It's not the accuracy, it's the uncertainty. A story with a beginning and a dramatic end. Whether it's science, technology, religion, or an anonymous website, the countdown provides a way to focus fear, anxiety, or hope. The clock will keep ticking, and new dates will always emerge. Our fascination with the end is less about destruction and more about meaning. So where will you be when the clock finally strikes 0? Remember, stay curious, and as always, thank you for watching.